Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's press conference regarding the 2024 NATO Summit. We thank you for coming out today, and we are looking forward to having you help us to assist with communicating with the public in regards to this event. Following remarks by our speakers today, there will be an opportunity for questions. We ask that when you're called on that you would introduce yourself, also say the name of your outlet, and limit your questions to one question and one follow-up question initially. We'll try and get to as many questions as we can from different folks. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Matt Stoller. He is the Special Agent in charge of the Washington Field Office.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for being here. I'm Special Agent Matt Stoller. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the Secret Service's Washington Field Office. As we prepare for the upcoming NATO Summit, which takes place July 9th through the 11th, it's vital we inform the community about potential impacts within the area to allow people time to make adjustments to their schedules and plans as needed. The NATO Summit is a National Special Security Event, or NSSC. And this designation means that the Secret Service assumes primary responsibility for the development and implementation of the operational security plan. And NSSC leverages the full weight and resources as well as the talent and expertise of federal, state, and local partners. This collaboration is critical because no single agency can provide all of the resources needed to secure an event of this magnitude. The Secret Service's #1 priority, along with our law enforcement partners, is to create a safe and secure environment for our protectees, visiting world leaders, and the citizens of the District of Columbia. Successfully executing this summit's security plan must factor in the needs of the community and its citizens. While we strive to minimize any inconvenience, people should expect to experience increased traffic on both roads and walkways due to street closures and other restrictions, particularly in areas where the events will occur. Vehicular, public transportation, and pedestrian impacts should be expected in the downtown area around the Washington Convention Center, the Carnegie Library, Mount Vernon Square, and the Mellon Auditorium. Residences and businesses inside the affected areas will generally be accessible, but vehicles and pedestrians may be required to undergo a security screening prior to entering. When security plans are finalized, we will share specific road closures and access information with the community. Maps will be made available online for the public in the coming weeks. We will do our best to keep the public informed of any disruptions or impacts throughout the event. As we fine-tune the security plan, Secret Service Washington Field Office personnel are engaging with area businesses and residents to inform them of potential impacts and hear their concerns. As part of these outreach efforts, we have a meeting with community members scheduled for tomorrow evening. Washington, D.C. is uniquely accustomed to hosting world events, and significant planning, training, and coordination has gone into ensuring that each individual agency is prepared to respond to any situation. This event is truly a collaborative effort, and I'm grateful for the partnerships we have with the agencies represented here today and many others who help support the mission. That said, it is my pleasure to introduce Chief Pamela A. Smith of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Special Agent in Charge Stoller. Good afternoon. I'm Pamela A. Smith, the Chief of Police for the Metropolitan Police Department, and thank you all for coming today. The Metropolitan Police Department has been working closely with our district and federal partners over the past few months in preparation for the upcoming NATO Summit here in the District of Columbia. MPD, the United States Secret Service, and other law enforcement agencies will be ensuring the safety of visiting dignitaries, attendees, and our community members. Events like this require detailed planning, close collaboration, and constant communication. We are doing all that and more to ensure a safe and smooth NATO Summit with as few impacts as possible to D.C. residents. This event will require a security perimeter around the Washington Convention Center. Numerous road closures and parking restrictions will be in place. This perimeter will be established shortly before the start of the summit on July 9th and will remain through July 12th. Businesses and residents within the closure zone will be accessible, but vehicles and pedestrians will need to enter from certain locations and be subject to security screenings. I want business owners and residents to be rest assured that we are working to minimize impacts while balancing the security for the event. Community outreach teams from the Secret Service, HSEMA, and MPD will be contacting businesses in the upcoming weeks to ensure all of your questions are answered. Impacts will expand beyond the convention center. Events related to NATO are planned in other locations around the city, including the Federal Triangle. With dozens of heads of states in the area, there will be a notable increase in motorcade volume and security presence outside of hotels and various embassies. We are expecting a significant increase in traffic downtown, so please plan alternate routes ahead of time. We recommend commuters use the Metro transit system to get around town. I ask everyone to exercise patience and remember that these security protocols are in place to keep everyone safe. With these types of high-profile meetings, we may see an increase in First Amendment demonstrations relating to this event. Also, the Metropolitan Police Department supports individuals peacefully exercising their First Amendment rights, but we will not tolerate violence of any kind, and offenders will be held accountable. Hosting events is nothing new for Washington, D.C., and I want to assure all Washingtonians that the Metropolitan Police Department is prepared for the NATO Summit and will continue to work closely with our partners to ensure its security. As we finalize the security plans with our law enforcement partners in the coming weeks, we will be hosting updates and specific road closures on our website at nsse.dc.gov and on our social media platforms. We also need the community's help. The public is a partner in keeping our city safe. I want to remind everyone, if you see something, say something. If you see something suspicious or if something doesn't seem right, please let us know. For immediate threats, we ask that you call 911. For other tips, call our real-time crime center at 202-727-9099 or text us anonymously at 50411. Thank you, and I'll now turn it over to Assistant Director in Charge, David Sundberg from FBI's Washington Field Office.
Thank you, Chief Smith. Good afternoon. I'm Dave Sundberg, Assistant Director in Charge of the FBI Washington Field Office. I truly appreciate the opportunity to be here today to discuss the FBI's partnership with our federal and local law enforcement agencies to prepare for the upcoming NATO Summit here in D.C. During the event, the FBI has the lead federal responsibility for crisis management, response to terrorist threats, and intelligence. The preparation for a national special security event is a cooperative effort with our partners, and these working relationships are not new. We coordinate with all of the agencies represented here, and then others, through our Joint Terrorism Task Force. We have routinely planned, prepared, and trained for multiple events such as this in prior years. Leading up to and during the NATO Summit, FBI intelligence analysts will be working to assess and share intelligence with our partners to ensure the safety of all attendees and participants. During the event, the FBI has the lead in working to prevent terrorist attacks. We will assess any information and intelligence received and work with our partners to quickly and safely resolve any issues. Our work is enhanced by citizen involvement. To echo what Chief Smith said, we ask the people remain aware of their surroundings and please report any suspicious activity. If you see something suspicious, please notify authorities by telling a police officer or calling 911. Suspicious activity could be an unattended package, a vehicle that appears out of place, or an individual acting suspiciously. We look forward to working with our partners to ensure that this event is held safely and securely. I have the pleasure of turning this over to DCHCMA Acting Director Clint Osborne.
Good afternoon. My name is Clint Osborne. I'm the Acting Director of the District of Columbia Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency. As you heard from our previous speakers, a lot of effort has gone into preparing for and readying for these events, but we also recognize that these events can have significant impacts on our residents, our visitors. So to coordinate resources, public safety, and communications, and support our federal partners in ensuring the safety and security of this National Special Security event, Mayor Bowser will activate the District Emergency Operations Center and the Joint Information Center from July 9th through the 11th. Residents and businesses and visitors can text NATO DC, that's NATO DC, to 777 to receive free text updates on public safety, street closures, weather alerts, and transit updates during the NATO Summit. As the Chief said, residents and visitors play an important role in keeping the community safe, so if you see something, say something by calling 202-727-9099 or anonymously texting 50411. With that, I'll turn it over to MPD to adjudicate questions.
Sure. Hi there. Assistant Director Sundberg, can you speak to what sorts of threats you're addressing and have there been any credible threats to the summit?
Certainly. Thank you for your question. We do not have any specific or credible threats to the NATO summit, but we'll continue to work alongside our partners to make sure that any information or intelligence we receive that's relevant is shared amongst all agencies.
Thank you. And just as a follow-up, maybe Chief Smith, or especially address, can you speak a little bit to First Amendment objections for protesters and what accommodations will be made for First Amendment activities? And do you have an estimate of how many folks you expect protest?
So specifically for the first, thank you for the question, first of all. And so for the First Amendment activities, you know that oftentimes people will submit a permit, sometimes at the request of the National Park Service to have First Amendment activities, and sometimes we just have pop-up demonstrations. So at this point, we do not have any anticipated First Amendment activities, but we do know for these types of activities or these types of events, they may garner some First Amendment activities or protesters that may decide they want to come in and exercise their First Amendment right. I'm not sure if the National Park Service does, and they're not here to speak to that, unless someone on the team have any additional information regarding that. But typically it would come in, and MPD will get some, but as of right now, I'm not aware of any. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Michael Dane with Fox News. Chief Smith, I have a question. So I don't mean to be off topic, but pertaining to what happened at the White House over the weekend, were law enforcement officers ordered to stand down or not take precedent against those who vandalize statues? And what would ultimately be the protocol for officers in situations like that?
So if you're speaking specifically about what occurred at Lafayette Park, so I work for the Metropolitan Police Department, and those officers that are assigned to Lafayette Park are with the United States Park Police. And as you know, in certain locations on federal property, you may or may not know on federal property, there is a 36 CFR Code of Federal Regulation that does not allow certain activities to happen when it comes to First Amendment exercise and First Amendment activities on federal lands. And so what you saw was obviously the United States Park Police engaging in individuals who could not exercise their First Amendment right based on whatever other additional activity was occurring in that space.
Okay, and are you able to speak to how many arrests were made? Was that not in your
I work for the Metropolitan Police Department. That's really a question you should pose to the United States Park Police.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Susan Harmon with CBS News, but I'm also acting as the full producer for the networks. My first question is, do you all have a date certain when the road closures will go up or when that will be announced?
So as of right now, we do not have that information available, but there will be another press conference, if I'm not mistaken, on July 1 that will provide that information for anyone who is in really need of that information regarding the specific road closures.
Where's the briefing emergency location will be? Will it be here or somewhere else? If you needed to do one.
So that's your question.
We appreciate you being part of our pre-event exercise. We will do briefings out of this space during the event.
Hi, I'm Jenny Gathright with the Washington Post. I think this is for you, Chief Smith. I know this event is coming right after July 4th, which is typically like an all hands on deck kind of thing for MPD, from my understanding, or a lot of people work overtime that day. So are you at all concerned like about this sort of corridor and the sort of workload that MPD officers might be experiencing during that time?
I am not, because if I'm not mistaken, NATO is between July 9th and I think July 11th. We do have a couple of days break right after July 4th, and I don't think we're doing a all hands on deck activation. We have our special operations division that is assigned to events such as the NATO Summit. So the majority of our workforce will have an opportunity to have a rest work cycle.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Beatrice Peterson, ABC News. I was wondering if you could just quantify for the public how massive this is going to be. DC has a lot of large-scale events such as World Bank, IMF. Are you guys thinking that this is going to be a several hundred thousand people in town, tens of thousands? Like how massive is this going to be?
It's going to be a fairly large scale. So there's 32 member nations in NATO, and then there's 5 additional partner nations. But the State Department and NATO personnel who are organizing the event, they're the ones that put out all the invitations. I don't know what the status of those invitations are, but my understanding is that they've all been invited, them and the members and their spouses as well. So it will be a large magnitude event. It'll be a lot of, I believe one of the other speakers mentioned the number of motorcades and some of the other security footprint and all of that. So it is going to be somewhat sizable. So, but I just don't have numbers.
Okay. Should the public be ready for rolling, I guess, road closures, being that there's going to be a lot of high-level delegates and officials in town?
Yeah. In terms of describing what the closures may look like, I can't go into those details just because we'll have to flex depending upon what's happening. But yes, there'll be significant traffic impacts in a variety of areas throughout the city because, as was mentioned, there are a number of locations that will house events for the NATO Summit.